What's up, guys? Today we're going to do episode number 2 of the weekly catch-up, and like I said, this is going to be an ongoing thing. And today I've got Braden and Buyani here, so it's the all gents
podcast.
It's the B's, man. It's all the B's.
Yeah, it's triple B.
Triple B.
Yeah.
Except we're going to give you an A+ performance right here. So, guys, a couple of topics we're going to address today. We're going to talk about, a lot of ColorOS stuff. That Braden's going to talk through some cool things. Buyani's going to talk a little bit around some of the photography style stuff. Megapixels. Is it important? Yes, it is, isn't it? But we'll check. And what else goes into it? So, without further ado, Braden, tell us a little bit about some of these ColorOS features that have impressed you.
So honestly, Brad, ColorOS, offers a lot of personalization. That's what I love. I mean, every single phone we have is like Android operated, but what makes OPPO stand out? And the thing I love is that ColorOS makes OPPO not your basic Android kind of phone. In terms of personalization, multitasking, it just makes the user's life so much easier. I mean, if we talk about one of my favorite features, which will be like your wallpaper themes matching, right? Yeah. Something as simple as that. You can actually set a wallpaper on your phone and you can pick specific colors out of that wallpaper where you can actually set those colors onto your phone. So if you look at like your app icons, your fonts and everything, the colors can be customized to actually match colors on your wallpaper. So it gives it a much more, set kind of theme on the phone.
And I think one of the things I love, one of the things that I fell in love with about OPPO devices, being with ColorOS and whichever version now, obviously running on 12, but it's really the thing that the personalization. You pick up an OPPO device and immediately you can see this is or isn't your phone if you've applied some of those personalizations, because there's so much personalization that you can apply to it.
Yeah,
so,
I think also one of those, when you talk about customizations, the one feature that really works for me is the roll effect. So customizing that, I think it gives you quite a lot of variety. And when you, obviously, like you mentioned, personalizing an Android phone is why Android is available out there, so that your phone does look different compared to somebody else's phone. So pretty cool feature. And
I know that rolling effect on countless times when I sort of bounce between using it and using other versions or other features, and I know I've had people stop me and be like, "Whoa, do that again!"
It's like a magic feature that you have. Yeah.
Simple but super effective.
Yeah.
Tell me about Flex Drop, because I've got something that I found out by accident the other day about Flex Drop. But before I give you that little,
so Flex Drop obviously on our new ColorOS now is called Flexible Windows.
Yeah.
Basically what it does, it allows you to utilize multitasking on a whole new level.
Yeah.
So you can utilize up to 3 applications all at once on the same screen. So I just found that interesting as well. Maybe if you are doing some work, maybe on Excel, you can pop a calculator there on the side. Maybe you're busy with a meeting, but you also got messages to respond to, so you can have your meeting floating on the corner, respond to all your messages, emails, everything all at once without the phone even slowing down.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, considering the fact that we have a lot of online meetings right now as well. So having something to be able to multitask like that, I think it's a pretty cool feature. I'm gonna start using it. I didn't know about it, so that's why the podcast is here. So pretty cool feature.
We do it on our laptops, and if you're working on a Teams meeting and you can sort of make it one side of the screen, and you can still do a little bit of work. And usually when you're on your phone, that's sort of, that's what you're doing. It's Microsoft Teams is full view, but you can shrink it down and make it that little bit of a floating window to make it a little bit more functional, so that you can be on the call and still do other stuff. But please don't make, no social media while you're on our Teams calls, right?
Just
no Netflix and so on.
You can only watch this podcast.
One thing that I discovered pretty recently. So I was playing a game, and it's a cool game called Cells, and it's about evolution, a whole bunch of stuff. So long story short, there's these adverts that you have to watch if you want to get certain more currency, and rather than buying gems or whatever the currency in game is, you just watch the advert. And I found that through these floating windows, you can pretty much throw it to the side of your screen, and it minimizes it to just a tiny little handle, and when you swipe it in again, then your game is back.
Oh wow.
And I found out that when an advert plays and you inflex, like a flex drop or a flexible window, when you throw it to the side while the advert's playing, and when you open it again, it bypasses the advert.
Oh,
So, little life hacks over there, give it a try, see if it works, you can thank me later.
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a good tip because I think a lot of people download applications on their phones that contain a lot of adverts. So having the ability to sort of like minimize it and still carry on participating in the game, I think it's pretty cool as well. So saves you a lot of data as well.
And time, because I don't have time for 30-second adverts every like 2 minutes.
No one does. Yeah, true that.
All right, I think something that I use almost on a daily basis is the smart sidebar.
I love the smart sidebar. I mean, I'm not sure how many people are like me, but for some reason, on my phone, when I'm looking for apps, I sometimes have selective vision. I'll be scrolling through all my hundreds of apps, and when I'm looking for a specific application, I can't seem to find it for some reason when I really need it.
Yeah.
At least with the smart sidebar, whatever apps are most important to me, I just swipe on my screen, and it's all there, easy to access quickly without any hassle.
And do you swipe from the right or from the left?
Well, you see, the nice thing about the smart sidebar is that it doesn't really matter. You can actually shift it to either side of the screen. So whether you like to swipe left or swipe right, it really doesn't matter. The whole thing just floats all over the screen.
Because I'm a lefty, so my smart sidebar, I drag it to the left-hand side. So just quick access for my thumb and you've got it. And like I said, I use the calculator fairly often, and it just floats on top of your spreadsheets or whatever else, so you can set the transparency and see what's behind it. And use the calculator and still see the work or the content that you've got behind it. So I think it's dope.
I think that's a feature that I've underutilized on my phone, but because most of the time we'll probably be multitasking, flex drop, all of those features, but the side scroll bar I've really struggled. But I think learning about such things makes it a bit more easier to take advantage of some of the technology that is available on our phones. So yeah, pretty cool feature. I love that a lot as well.
No, they're good.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing that's brought to you by ColorOS, and it's through all of our OPPO devices, is the AI system booster. And I mean, if you guys didn't know about it before, we've got this algorithm and optimization software built into all of our devices, from the babas to the big bosses, in the OPPO range. So it just optimizes your device. Now, what sort of optimization does this AI system booster actually provide the user?
I think one of the benefits as well is increased battery life as well, because I think battery on a smartphone is something that's quite important, but also reducing a lot of background power consumption as well. So when you're not interacting with your phone, it really helps you keep the battery life of the smartphone in itself, but also memory loss as well. Some phones, when you have them, you download specific applications, sometimes it runs out of memory. So I think those are just some of the ones that I can pick up from the top of my head, but I think it also increases the battery device span to a much more longer period as well. I think when you look at it, last time it was about 3 years or so, right?
Yeah, so even after 3 years, the phone will operate just like brand new from the box. There will be no issues with that battery at all.
And I think one of the things you mentioned was around the reduced power consumption in the background, because I'm sure we've all heard this or had somebody come to us at one point and say, oh, my battery's not lasting and I'm doing nothing. Meanwhile, like, the phone is still doing a lot in the background, whether you've got WhatsApp messages coming through, if you've got applications that you've minimized and haven't closed. So little things like that, it's just going to make your phone optimized and run more efficiently.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Now, I think privacy, jumping on to the next topic, privacy is quite important for a lot of people. And on our laptops, we've got these little webcam sliders so that you can cover your webcam so nobody's watching. What is Android 12 and what have we adopted in ColorOS 12 that gives the user that control over their privacy?
So in terms of that, obviously, just to simplify the whole thing, is that we download so many applications. I mean, some people even download applications from third-party stores and stuff. And apps always ask for permissions where they want to access certain information from your phone. Obviously, we don't know whether that application is going to keep our info safe or not. But with ColorOS, the technology actually prevents those apps from accessing or leaking sensitive information. I mean, from your contacts to certain personal types of pictures you might have on your phone, your email, your passwords, all of those things apps can have access to. But ColorOS protects all of that information to a point where even if anything does get leaked, hackers and stuff won't be able to match any of that data to you specifically, so they won't know that you are the owner of certain information.
Yeah, I think that's pretty
So
cool.
it's quite heavily encrypted.
Yeah. So I mean, end of the day, guys, we're all trying to keep safe, and whether you want to be on the internet, you want to do online shopping, you want to do it safely, and you don't want to get scammed. And whether it's an application you downloaded once, gave it all the permissions, and you never used it again, that application's holding on to the permissions you've granted, which gives it access to your gallery and all those other things. So I love the fact that every now and then it says you haven't used this app in a while. Do you still want this application to keep these permissions? And then I look at it and I'm like, no, I don't want you to have gallery anymore. Like remove it, and then you covered. So yeah, peace of mind, guys. That's what ColorOS 12 and all the privacy features are bringing you.
I think that's also really cool, because sometimes one thing that I find very annoying is that I'd have a conversation on WhatsApp, and then I'd go into a certain application, maybe like those adverts that appear in some of those games, and then you'd find I was talking about a car on WhatsApp, and then suddenly car adverts are appearing on there. So having the ability to be able to remove some of that information is something that's really cool, because you'll be able to have organic adverts, advertising. Yeah, so that's something that I like quite a lot. I don't know about it, but pretty cool feature as well. But I think while we're still on the topic of privacy and security, having access to your gallery and some of the privacy features that have been improved, I think also looking at photography, because I think that's one of the features that a lot of people utilize on their smartphones, taking pictures quite a lot. So I think we're going to dive into that topic. I'm obviously the person, I am a self-proclaimed
the go-to
in terms of
master
photographer. So, but the one biggest question that I find a lot that people are asking about is, what is really the importance of megapixels on a smartphone?
Yeah.
So I think the one biggest thing is that you'll see in terms of our range of devices, based on price and affordability, certain smartphones will obviously have higher megapixels as opposed to another. But one of the things that I want you guys to really understand when we talk about megapixels, it's just the amount of information that's in a file. So based on, analyzing a customer's profile, if they are a person that is a socialite, they're an influencer, obviously having a file that has more megapixels is really handy. So I think one of the important parts that I also want to highlight is that when it comes to the picture, is that the most important is lighting, because even right now we're using really good lighting. So that's something that's very key when it comes to photography just in general. But what are some of your other guys' inputs in terms of megapixels and just,
So I think for me, often people get sort of conned into the idea that the higher the megapixels, the automatically the better the camera is. And it's really not the truth, because megapixels just determines, are you going to be able to print the picture this big, or you're going to be able to print the picture this big. If you're not using a large format print, or you don't have a huge TV, it really doesn't make too much of a difference, and it really only then comes into effect with the more higher NSM, more premium, buyers, because they might have the more premium and larger TVs. Other than that, guys, like if you're looking at photos taken even on a 2 megapixel camera on your phone or on a laptop screen or on a tablet, like it's sufficient. I mean, don't forget 8K is all you need. Or not, 8 megapixels is all you really need for 4K photography. So keep that in mind. Like 8 is not, everything we've got, we're pushing things like 48 and 50 and all the way up to 108 with our upscaling. So megapixels is not everything. If you want to make a really large picture, if it's going to be blown up onto a canvas, sure, jump onto the higher resolution photos. But other than that, guys, what's more important is the amount of lighting that your phone has access to, and the sensor. And something we are very renowned for at OPPO is putting larger sensors rather than putting more focus on megapixels, because that's where you get the camera quality or the photography and videography quality.
Yeah, and I think just highlighting the fact that lighting plays a really big role, but main thing as well, guys, is that even if you are in store, you don't want to be taking a picture of a plant, MTN logos and stuff like that. So when you are studying photography is more like lifestyle. So if people seeing the images, the videos that you're recording with these great devices that you guys have, take advantage of that. Don't show customer a picture of an MTN
that's so boring.
That's so boring. So when you're out with friends, maybe you're at a hike or whatever the case might be, use those images, because they help you sell a better story. And that's what advertising is. It's taking pictures.
Customers love personalized stories.
That's what really draws customers to our devices. It's not just like, oh look, the store looks nice. That sucks. But whenever I'm going out, I enjoy hiking, and when I'm out hiking, I usually take time-lapse videos, or I do some really cool photos, and I post it on my status, #Reno7, whatever it is. But it's one way to show people this is the real world situation of how your photos are going to come out. If you're showing me a photo of a store, like, that's not going to convince me. But you show me a photo of like a really beautiful landscape or a cool photo of you with your friends out at night at a club, like that's the type of stuff that's going to evoke a little bit more emotion in the person that you're talking to. So personalize, guys.
Yeah, and then just to wrap it up as well, I think also one of my personal favorite features is that the AI technology that we have on our smartphones. I think AI highlight video is such an underused tool, especially when I'm trying to capture moments during load shedding as well. You know, when lights go off. You know, at least I know that with AI video, I'm still able to get really good videos, and when I show those to customers, it really does evoke that emotion, and I can see them getting interested in wanting to purchase the device. But I think that's just about it in terms of camera. You know, it doesn't have to be complicated. Personalize it, utilize pictures that you take in your everyday life experiences, and from there, customers will really buy it. Yeah.
So yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it for today. If you guys have got any further suggestions, anything else you want us to talk about, you know, the panel is going to change whenever we do it. We're going to rotate. And if you guys want to be on here as well, let us know, and you know, do something special, make some special sales, and we'll invite you to join the podcast session as well. But for now, I think that's it from us, guys.
Yeah, it's the Triple Bs signing out.
Cheers, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.